Okay, boom! We're live on the Tru-Mon Show, episode 128, with a very special guest, Mike Cavanaugh. How are you, Mike?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
Super good, better than most, and sometimes, you know what, even better than that. There's no words to describe it. Give thanks for life. We're alive.
Yeah.
You know, that's the most important thing we must realize, is that we have life and we've got to do something with it, and we got to speak our mind, and you know, we must do something. So today we decide to get together because lately I've been asking myself a lot of questions about the sun, about the behaving of the sun in the sky, and how it moves, and the sunset and the sunrise or whatever. You know how it's behaving in the sky. Why, when it's right above me, I see it 90 degrees, but when it's setting, I see it facing me. Like it's good to have explanation from other people, but I also want to make sense of reality on my own. So there's stuff that I just cannot make sense, and that's why I'm reaching out to Mike. Mike reached out to me to do a presentation, and we said, yeah, we both agree. And I said, yeah, that's a perfect timing, because I want to learn. I'm into this, the questioning the sun a lot lately, because I go sun gazing every time that I have the opportunity to go sun gaze, or the sun is there, I go out, and without sunglasses also, it's very important. Your sunglasses are an enemy for you. Remove those things when you look at the sun. Very important. You need those rays. You need that light to enter your light bulb. You need your eyeball. Not your light bulb, your eyeball. You need that light to enter the eyeball to go to the pineal gland, and there's a big reaction in there. So sunglasses are very bad for us. I realized that. I was always under the impression that they were bad, but today I saw a video and it really made sense to me why it's not good to have sunglasses on. So, Mike, yeah, I think you have a good presentation about the sun for us. So, if you want, I can let you begin to do your thing, and I'll interrupt you if I have question. I'm for sure gonna have question.
Yeah, you can interrupt me anytime you want.
Yeah.
My story is, I'm going to give a short presentation. I'm not going to make it too scientific, just the basic stuff, because we have to get past a certain point in the flat Earth community, and that is the debate about the sun going in circles or going in straight lines, or doing whatever on whatever projection. All of those things are not true. You can prove them that they are not true. No matter which model you pick, if you pick the azimuthal equidistant model, if you pick the Mercator model, if you pick the Gauss-Peter model, you can pick any projection you want, and just by simply using geometry, you can debunk all of those models with a sun going in straight lines or going in circles. And I'm going to explain why. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, you can see this?
Yeah, I see myself.
Okay, now we can measure, if we consider a flat Earth, that's the base assumption we have to take. We know that it's flat, but let's call it an assumption. We can measure the diameter of the sun when it moves 90 degrees overhead, and it moves outside of its own diameter, and the time it takes and the speed it travels, you can determine the diameter. Now, this is from Steve's channel. He did it at his location, and by his calculations, the sun, let me check, was 45 miles or something. Yeah, here, 45 miles diameter. So that's a very small sun. If you take the azimuthal equidistant map, or you take any projection, the Mercator projection, from top to bottom, this is 20,000 kilometers. And that's the same for the azimuthal equidistant map. This is 20,000 kilometers from the north to the south. So 40 kilometers on this map will be a very tiny dot. And you can debunk almost any model just by looking at the sun rise and set azimuthal angle for the equinox, because at that time of the year, that's 2 times a year, in the spring and in the autumn, the sun will rise 90 degrees east and will set 270 degrees west. And on the equator, it will move 90 degrees overhead. But you have to envision it like this. At 6 o'clock in the morning, the sun will be here at this location where I'm having my mouse at the moment. Now, everybody on this prime meridian line, the 0 UTC line, will have the sun rise at 6 in the morning on its 90 degrees east. So you can draw 90 degrees lines from each point on this line, and that's where the sun should be. But the actual sun is hovering here 90 degrees overhead at this position at 6 in the morning. This is 12 o'clock, high noon for this location. But for this, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. So if the sun is here and somebody is standing here or on a boat or whatever, he has the sun rising 90 degrees east, and it's setting 270 degrees west. 270 degrees west, that will be like 6 in the evening on the equator, and then the sun will be here. So everybody on this line should have the sun at its 90 degrees angle, perpendicular to this line. And no matter how creative you get with these meridians, if the sun is only 40 miles in diameter, you can never get those angles to work. If you place the sun here, somebody standing here will have a 45 degree angle. Somebody standing here will have a 60, 70 degrees angle, or even less. And that's the same for the Mercator map. People can say the sun goes in straight lines on top of the equator, but if you are standing here in London, you're going to have to look at this location to see the sunrise, and that's not 90 degrees. The sun should be here, and the sun is 45 miles in diameter. So what's going on here? Why is this not working? If you want the sun to rise 90 degrees east, you can bend this meridian towards this location where the sun is. But then you're going to have the problem at the 270 degrees west sunset. So you can bend your meridians in any way or shape you want. It's not going to work. The geometry will never work with a 45 mile diameter sun or a small sun, even if it's 100 miles in diameter. It will not work. You can never get the sun at those angles for those dates, and that's 2 times a year. So that I've been searching for a true model for the true sun's path for over 3 years now. I've done some teamwork with Dr. Zach and with Steve Torrance and with Rob Skiba, and all of us are trying to find what the actual path of the sun is, and you have people proposing the Pac-Man model with the sun going from the right to the left and then popping out on the other side and going that's the Pac-Man model. Now I reject that, because you can go to the north, to the pole circle, even if you're at 72 degrees north, you can see the Arctic midnight sun, and then the sun never sets and simply moves in a circle around you.
I think that's one fact that we can all agree, Mike, is that it's moving in circle over us. It seems to be moving in circle, because I see it passing here, I see it go there, it sets, and then the next morning it comes out the other way, and so. No,
it's not moving in a circle. That's the whole idea. If you go to the pole circle, you can see the sun moving in a circle around you. But if you go further south, the sun starts moving in straight lines across the sky. If you put tracer lines on the sun, it will make a straight line to a certain point in the sky. That's high noon, and then it will start to go down in a straight line.
Yeah.
So
down. That's it.
And even for the equator, the sun. On the equinox, the sun rises 90 degrees east, it passes straight overhead, and it sets 270 degrees west. That's a damn straight line, that's not a circle. We can all agree on that. That's not a circle.
No, that's not a circle. What you tell
No.
me.
And if you put it in the azimuthal equidistant map, the sun would rise here and would set here. And that's in no way, shape, or form is that 90 degrees east and 270 degrees west. No.
Yeah.
So it's not moving in a circle either. But the sun, the actual sun, for people standing here at this location at high noon, will be 90 degrees overhead. So the position on the map is correct. So I'm not arguing for or against the azimuthal equidistant map. It's an accurate map on the longitudinal lines. Between the longitudinal lines is a different stories. But this polar projection is used for stellar cartography. Stellar maps are laid out over this projection, and Steve's model even implements those same systems from the JPL database. All the stars, planets, and other bodies are in their databases charted out above the azimuthal equidistant map, and we can trust those numbers. I'm hesitating to say that a little bit, but the sky has been mapped, in my opinion. Astronomers, professional and amateurs, have been trying to find anomalies in the sky and in the model for hundreds of years. And it's a damn good fit for the globe model. I cannot deny that. Everything in the sky moves and appears as if we are on a globe. I hate saying that, but that's true. And the JPL database is a verifiable stellar cartography. If you lay it out on top of the azimuthal equidistant map, all the 90 degrees overhead positions will match, and that's the key. It's only the 90 degrees overhead positions. So if a star or planet is 90 degrees above this position, the stellar cartography database from JPL is going to put that star here, and that's a correct position. That's an actual position, because 90 degrees up has zero refraction. We can say that we are actually seeing the actual object, and I'm also hesitating to say that because, well, I'll get to that.
Yeah.
But that got me thinking. I've been experimenting.
But you've got me thinking now about this movement going in circle. Now it might not be at all going in circle, and we could be possibly on something very different than something that is round. Could be like something very.
That's it. I'm not arguing for or against this projection, because navigation. And you can navigate from this map, and you will get to your location. So, only the distances and the relative sizes between the continents are inaccurate, in my opinion. But I cannot say that for sure, because I've never seen it from this perspective. Myself, I've never been up 5,000 miles in the sky and looked down. So I cannot verify that it's true or not true. But this is the map astronomers use for stellar cartography. So Steve's model shows the actual positions when they are 90 degrees overhead. But the sun and the moon are a different story. We've been mapping out sunrise and sunset angles with the sun going in circles between the tropics with the actual positions from the JPL database. So the positions on the map are correct, and they are nowhere near the actual positions for where the sun and moon rise. And I always check this naval database that's from the United States Navy, and I also trust these numbers to a certain degree. I use these numbers until somebody proves me that they are incorrect. You get it?
Yep.
And you can go to the equinox date, March 20, 2017, and you can go to the equator itself, 0 degrees, and then you compute a table. Here, you have a sunrise at just a little past 6 at your 90 degrees east, and then it goes down at 270 degrees west. But it also goes straight overhead on the equator. You know, it moves on this line, and it goes 90 degrees overhead on the equinox on the equator. So we got a problem if you got a small enclosed sun. You can put it 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles in the sky, and geometry-wise, it will not work. You will get all sorts of weird angles, whichever projection you use. And then I was starting to look at pictures. Every flat earther has already seen 1,000 times, you know, and that's pictures of the crepuscular rays of the sun. And I've been looking at these pictures myself for 1,000 times, and you know, to us it's evidence of a closed sun, and it is. But there's a question you need to ask yourself. You know, if you are looking at these crepuscular rays piercing through the clouds, and you see a city here in the background, if somebody's in that city looking back at this location, would he see those rays? You know, and that's an actual question I can ask you. Would he see those rays?
If he's on the other side?
Yeah, if he is, let's say if he's in this tall building here, looking directly at you, would he see these rays?
Yeah, he would see it.
You think so?
Why not?
Where would the sun be for that guy?
Right above his head, inside the cloud?
No, the sun will be behind him.
How do you explain that?
Well, because the sun is let's say this is 30, 35 degrees above the horizon. It's the same time for this guy in the same apartment. So he's going to look in the same cardinal direction for the sun. So if this is a sunset and let's say it's an equinox sunset, this is 270 degrees west. No, and it's let's say 3 o'clock midday. So the sun is going down at the west, on your west, and this guy is standing in this apartment building. If he's gonna look east, because you are looking west, this picture is looking west. This guy is gonna have to look east to face you. Would he see the sun here at this location?
Probably not.
No. So if the sun is not there for him, would he see the rays?
The rays.
Would he see these rays?
But he would not see the rays. If he doesn't see the sun, he can see the rays.
No, if the sun is not piercing through these clouds from this position, he will not see those rays. You know,
that's it.
That's my hypothesis. I think that. I've never tested it, and I want to test it. I want to. I live near a great lake, and I want to take pictures of these rays piercing through the clouds from both sides of the lake. Because, you know, here's another question for you. If you had a 300 meter long stick with a mirror attached to it, and you bounced this ray that's coming up towards you, towards the sun, towards the observer, and you reflected that ray to the guy in this apartment building, would he then see a reflection of the sun in that mirror?
Yeah, he would see a reflection of the sun.
Yeah, but it's not possible because the sun is not there.
Ah.
You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
The sun, to me, acts exactly as a rainbow. A rainbow lights up a specific place on the ground, but somebody standing here on this runway looking up will not bask in the light of a rainbow. If you move towards this rainbow, the rainbow will move away from you, always.
This is the weird thing, eh? Why can't you catch a rainbow? Can't you catch the sun?
And that's exactly my point. You cannot get to the sun either. The sun acts as if it's a source projection of something else. And a source projection was my first ID, a projection of something else. And you can calculate where the sun, because the rainbow is also a source projection, and the source is the sun.
Yeah.
The rainbow comes from the sunlight, and
Yeah.
the sunlight moves through water in the sky, or rain, or clouds, or whatever, moisture, and the rainbow appears. And from a specific angle, you will see the rainbow. But somebody standing in the forest looking back at the runway will not see the rainbow here. It's there for you alone, for this observer alone. And the sun acts the same way. Because
So
it's
it always depends where the observer is situated.
yeah, it's exactly. And to go a little further into that, we know the Earth has a very large magnetic field, a very active magnetic field. And I was starting to think, I've watched some videos from Ken Wheeler. He has a channel on YouTube. I can link that in the description or in the comments later. He and another guy invented something called a ferrosphere. And a ferrosphere is a glass. I'm going to make a picture here. It's a glass sphere with LED lights on the bottom, and a specific fluid on the inside of the sphere. And it's not a vacuum or something. It's just a glass with a light underneath it. And here he holds a magnet on top. And you can see the magnetic lines being lit up by the lights below. Now, this is a stationary picture. And if you were to walk around this sphere, you would see something else inside the sphere, depending on where you are. Your location, the observer point matters what you see inside the sphere. So that got me back to thinking, well, what does the magnetic field look like on Earth? And is there a magnetic field chart based on the azimuthal equidistant map? And no, there isn't. There's one for the Mercator projection, and you can see hot and cold spots on both sides of the poles. So the magnetic field on Earth is a bit chaotic, so to speak. So I was looking for pictures of magnetic field lines, and I'm trying to find one. Yeah, here. This is a thesis written on MIT on magnetism and electromagnetism and electrostatic magnetism. And I saw this picture, and I was looking at it, and I thought, well, wait a minute, this looks like the arcs we get from suncoke on the path of the sun through the sky. So I started overlaying it on top of the azimuthal equidistant map in Photoshop. And if the sun is a source projection which is projected onto the magnetic field of the Earth, where you stand, your X, Y, and Z position will determine what you see inside the magnetic field. And the magnetic field, from a bipolar magnetic field, two poles working against each other, causes this field. And all these lines will match the sun and rise set angles for this meridian on the equinox. It's a straight line on the equator. The sun, on the southern hemisphere, the sun rises 90 degrees southwest and or east, and it sets 270 degrees west, and it's a small arc. And for the sun to move between the tropics, this is for this field represents the equinox, and for the sun to move between the tropics, all you have to do to change the magnetic field is to increase the magnetic strength or charge on either poles. If you make this charge bigger, the lines will start to move more to this direction and the other way around. So in that way you can get the angles for the other dates during between the equinoxes. You know, you can make those angles vary if you change the magnetic field, and your position determines what you see on the magnetic field. So it, these are the lines of the path of the sun, and if you simply instead of rotating the sun around the map, you do it the other way around. You know, you rotate the map underneath these lines, like this. And that way you can get every rise and set angle for every position on every meridian on this map, on the equinox. It will fit. Because if you are standing on this position on the map, the poles will be divided north and south for you. You know, they will be directly opposite from each other.
And it looks more like, if you look at the stuff going over Canada, it looks a lot more like a straight line.
Yeah.
But it's curving. It's curving at one point. Let's get a curve, but it's not curving. It's not doing a circle.
No, it's not doing a circle, and it's not doing straight lines either. But that's the problem, or then not a problem. That's the thing I still have to do a lot of research in. If I consider it a source projection, and before I start doing any research into that, I'm going to first have to verify my theory surrounding the crepuscular rays, because what if you can see crepuscular rays from opposite sides in a mirror image? Well, that's a huge implication, but I'm not going to expect you see that. I'm going to expect that somebody on the other side looking back at that location will not see the same thing, you know, because his light source is behind him, so he can never get those rays. And that will mean, and that will prove to me, that it's a personal projection. You know, the sun is there for you at that location in the sky. And if you were to, and it appears to just hover above the clouds, but if you were to go up in altitude, the sun will rise with you. You know, the same with a rainbow. If you move towards a rainbow, it will move away from you at a equal distance. You can never catch it. You can never get to a rainbow, and you can never get to the sun either.
No. I have someone asking a question here about the rainbow, and it's caught my attention. We each see a different rainbow from our own visual perception of the sun rays through the moisture. She has a question mark. Like, if I am here at my point, and does the guy all the way at the end of the city over there sees the same rainbow as me? Because the moisture in the air is different. So does he see something different?
No, you see something different. What you see is the rainbow never changes. You know,
that's it.
You see the colors, but it's a personal object. It's also in a personal location for you in the sky. Because if you were to use geometry to pinpoint a rainbow, it will hopelessly fail. You know.
Yeah.
You can never get a solid beat on the location of a rainbow. It's always away from you, you know, at a specific distance. Zach has done some calculations on the exact angles required for you to see a rainbow. I haven't researched that a lot, so I can't give any exact numbers on it, but I know he has done some research into that. But I'm sure you can also find it on the internet itself. But you know, that's actually my theory, that the sun is a source projection of something else. What that something else is to be determined later. If it works the same as a rainbow, that you can only see it at a specific angle, and by that angle you can pinpoint the position of the actual source. If it works the same for the sun, maybe we can find the actual location of the sun by backwards engineering those angles. But that's for later investigation. We first have to get rid of the fact that the sun is a 45-mile physical object going in circles or straight lines or whatever path on a projection.
It's much more mysterious than that, I'm sure.
If it's a physical object, it's impossible. There, you know.
No.
I've said it.
Yeah. But
And
there's all.
that's why the sun's so very big and very far away in the heliocentric system, because that's the only way it will work. You know, the only way you can get the sun to rise 90 degrees east for everybody on any meridian on this map, you have to make the sun very large and very far away, so you won't notice the shift you move across the center of the sun itself. And that's why the sun is 93 million miles away and almost 1 million miles in diameter.
Wow.
That's how you get away with it.
And also that's why they made it a ball, like a spherical object, so we don't ask question when it sets on the horizon and we see it facing us. It makes sense. It's a ball.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, probably is a duck, you know. And the sun looks spherical, it acts spherical, so it's probably a sphere.
That's what I always thought. Because how can I see it?
I have some video of the sun itself. You know, this is a video I shot myself 12 years ago with my telescopes at my dad's house. And this is the sun. You know, this is the sun looked through a filter. And, you know, I've seen these coronal mass ejections hundreds of times, but it only just dawned to me that I always saw them on the edge of the sun. You never see them on the surface of the sun. So that's another weird thing I have to...
And that's why it's easy for them to tell us that there's sun flares and all kinds of stuff coming out of the sun, because it is actually kind of happening, but it's not as they say it is.
No, and if you can see the coronal mass ejections that they follow some sort of magnetic field. You know, they burst out and they curve back down. Now, I hate to use the word gravity because I don't believe that it's gravity. I believe that it's magnetism.
Magnetism. That's it. It's reattracting itself to the objects, the sun.
Yeah. And the sun.
The sun is. Could it be possible, Mike, that the sun is like a big, huge magnet producing light?
Yeah. No, it's a fireball. It seems, you know, it has flames, so it's hot. But it's a fireball collection inside the magnetic field. I don't know how to explain it really.
But it's.
You know, we can feel the heat coming from the sun. So the sun, the infrared rays are coming from an actual location. But that location, if you try to pinpoint the sun by using standard geometry, now Zach has tried that, and you run into the problem that it's kind of like catching a rainbow. You know, you get all sort of mismatch in your angles, altitudes, and it doesn't work. So also the refraction is a factor in this. But coming back to the magnetism, we see by these coronal mass ejections that the sun, the field, the area surrounding the sun is magnetic. You know, there's magnetic field lines. If you go back to the Ferrosphere and you check these lines, well, there's also a lot of different pictures of curved lines going through it. You know, here.
Here, I got someone in the chat saying something interesting. Maybe you can reflect on that. It's Germanicus Keith said the magnetic field of Earth is 0.5 to 0.65 microtesla, and you can't have this field on a flat disk. You can only have this on a sphere convex.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You want me to repeat?
Yeah.
The magnetic field of Earth is 0.25 to 0.65 microtesla, and you can't have this field on a flat disk. You can only have this on a sphere convex. honestly.
Yeah, you can only have. Yeah, I've heard that a
This
lot
is
of
the
times.
thing, man.
It's impossible for this and it's impossible for that. I have to verify that for myself.
Yeah.
If somebody tells me that it's this and this micro Tesla, yeah, okay, that's probably a number. That's maybe it's correct. I don't know,
I
but
don't know. I thought you knew about it. I've never
this is not
even knew
some.
about micro Tesla, so I'm learning that this morning.
This is a theory, and it requires more research, and this is just something that came to mind. I'm not telling you that this is the actual magnetic field of the Earth working on top of an azimuthal equidistant map. No, I don't. I've never seen a magnetic field projection on this projection, so I cannot verify if the magnetic field lines work like this, and also I cannot verify if the magnetic field above the Earth or the flat disk is stronger than what we measure here below on the surface. I cannot verify that because I've never been higher up than in an airplane, and every time I've been on an airplane, I didn't bring my gear to measure the strength of the Earth's magnetic field. Those are things I have to verify for myself. A scientist and a group of scientists can say that they have discovered this, but that's the whole reason why we are in this trouble.
Exactly.
We cannot accept things anymore coming from an authority. We have to verify stuff for ourselves.
Use scrutiny.
Yes. Okay. Are there any more questions? Because I'm.
Go ahead with your stuff. Are you done or?
Yeah, this is basically the theory I have.
It sparked a good reflection, but now I would like to talk about the fact, and I'm gonna have also. It's weird that we get to do this show today because it's not weird, but it's a synchronicity because also I have a Iru Landucci that's gonna come this weekend to talk about the sun. Also, he has a theory about the sun, and he commented on Facebook today on something, and he came in the comments and he said, "Hey, we should get together." And he says, "Yeah, I have a new stuff to present, and it's about the sun, how the sun is behaving, and how it's setting on the horizon, and all that." So he's probably gonna do a follow up of your reflection that you sparked here today, because you sparked a good reflection, especially when you put the magnetic field over the Earth, over the projection map that we have. But that's the thing, we don't know really the map. Someone was saying before in the chat that could the Earth be a rectangle? It's I don't think it's very much what it is, but I don't know. Nobody went far enough, high enough to
No,
know,
and a rectangle. If you fly from America to Japan, you will notice.
You're gonna realize you're not on a rectangle.
And that's maybe a little too simple, but I cannot verify. You cannot verify that you portal to the other side back again. That's a assumption you have to make, and nobody can ever prove that, because if it requires an extra dimension, and we cannot verify, see or touch that extra dimension. So it's a nice theory, but I don't buy it. Prove it,
That's it. We want to go with proof now. We're willing to start discussion. Reflection is part of the solution. We're not saying we have the whole truth, and we're not telling you to believe everything we say. Do your own research, use scrutiny. We get together, me and Mike, because we want to exchange, and I have a channel on YouTube, so why not put it live on YouTube? But it's just a reflection we're making. We're not saying that you should take everything we say for cash. Do your own investigation.
That's the whole idea. The flat Earth research is a bit stuck in the same paradigm, and now we're battling against each other with circle, square, portal, and I'm getting real sick of it.
I think I
want progress, and we need some fresh new thinking. And if somebody tells me you can only have this and you can only put it on a globular field, that's going off of somebody else's information, and I'm not buying somebody else's information anymore. And also, it's always looked at through a very physical physics perspective. Everything has to be a material solution.
But you know what, Mike? I think it's normal at one point that we do the parrots like that we repeat everything what people say because we're very lazy. We don't want to move. We don't want to move even with our heads, with our mental capacity. So we're very, very becoming very obvious to a system. We don't want to do effort. So normally we are
Well,
very, very lazy with our
well,
minds. So
if you discover flat Earth, the word impossible becomes a very distant word. You know,
yeah, yeah. No,
because
that's it. But I mean, some
you
people.
can try to make everything work with your physics, and you know, I've got a degree in engineering, two fields of engineering, but you know that's only a material education. You can study physics, and you can get everything about every element and how atoms work, etc., etc. But that's only from a physical perspective. And experiments like the double slit and quantum mechanics, if that is even real, but let's say the double slit is real, that actually shows that it's not just a physical thing. You know, the double slit experiment actually showed that an observer matters to what a particle does, or its shape is, or its makeup is. You know, if you look at a particle, it will change its physical nature. So that means there is something more than just physical, and I think the physical part is a very small part of creation.
But that's where they want us to stay stuck in the physical linear world, interpreting everything, intellectualizing everything,
Yeah.
calculating everything, having some kind of physics for everything, take out the mystery of life completely. It's a ball. You live on the ball. There's no mystery. That's it. That's all. You know, it's like we want to bring back this vibe to life, this love, this vibrancy, this higher vibration. So it goes with finding out who we are first. You know, it's good to the shape of the earth. The shape, to me, it's shapeless, the earth, anyway. It's not, but that's not our goal here today. It's not necessarily to determine the shape of the earth. It's more to get together, to reason, to you know, it's by getting together like that we're gonna find at one point I don't know. Me, it always interests me to, because I want to think for myself. You know, I'm thinking for myself. I just, at the beginning, I was going a lot to other people and buying into their stuff, and because I wasn't doing my own research. But then I got out of the laziness of the mind, and I started activating that muscle up there and starting to do research, and started that show, and you know, getting more independent and not rely so much on other people for information. You have everything inside you, all the biological equipment necessary to make sense of reality. Mike
Yeah.
has it, I have it, everybody
Yeah,
has it. So
and you have to reason. You know,
yeah,
reason all
reasoning.
the way through.
Yeah,
If you know, and the small physical sun, 45 to 100 miles in diameter, I don't care how big or small you make it. It will not work in a linear fashion or a circular fashion. It will not work. So if we are to assume that the Earth is flat, then we have to look at a non-physical solution for the sun.
exact. It
And
goes with it.
yeah, and I mean, non-physical, non-linear, you know, non-circular.
Yeah.
It's not doing that. It's not going in circles, and it's not going in straight lines.
Do you
And
think it can vary in altitude sometimes too? Like, do you think with the season, the altitude of the sun could vary? Like in the winter, is maybe higher up, in the summer lower, and you get more heat. You know, could that be possible?
Yeah. If you check the database from JPL and on Steve's model, the sun actually varies in altitude.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah,
what
but
I
you
always
know,
thought.
it's we cannot verify that.
But we cannot verify it.
We can
That's
only
it.
observe it, you know, and
Yeah.
we have to do next level research and experimenting to find the truth. Because if we're going to go on in this linear circular fashion with a basic physics solution and mathematical formulas, you know, we're never going to find it, because we're going to use their system they created
I like what you're saying there. Arthur Christian would love what you're saying there. That's what he used to tell me when he came on the Tru-Mon show. You know, you can't analyze the truth with A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. That's what we've been brainwashed with. So the
Yes.
truth is not, the truth is what it is. First of all, it's what it is. So what do you
Yeah.
see? What do you observe? This is the truth. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes all kind of explanation and stuff, and it distort the truth. So
Yeah. Yeah. And saying something is impossible, you know, you cannot do that anymore. You cannot say, I cannot say that a flat square map with portals on each side is impossible. You know, I'm not going to say that. I don't buy it, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. But
yeah.
you know, we have to stop looking at it as something physical. If books like Enoch describe portals on the east and west side, we have the basic programming to make that a stargate or whatever, you know, a portal where the sun goes through, because that's how it's been translated for us.
That's what my wife told me a couple of weeks ago. She said, Yannick, the sun must go around and go into under the earth and come back into another door. And that's what she was telling me. I'm like, where did you get this? Oh, you tell me that about the Book of Enoch, you know? And that's one book that's another book I want to read. I didn't get there yet. But
Yeah,
it's on my list.
I've been trying to find an original language version, because you know we can only find the English translations, and the English language translations have caused all sorts of problems for not only the Bible, but for most other scriptures from history. You know, the Vedic scriptures translated into English also don't correctly represent what the actual text says. And the same goes for King James, or a New International Version, or the American Standard Version. You know, those are all English translations.
Yeah.
And
But there's been
they got very creative with the words. You know.
yeah, there's been so many people that have translated it and in different language, and come on, it's been distorted with times. But also, you know, we have to consider, like I said, prior to 1930, not too many people knew how to write and read. So who
Yeah.
wrote the history? Who wrote those books? It's monarchs, English monarch and French monarch, and people, the French aristocracy that knew how to write and stuff, that they
Yeah.
wrote all these books. So
Yeah.
normal people of the population, they didn't even know how to write or read. They weren't literate. They were illiterate. So
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
man and woman of nature, you know, living in alignment with nature, not in alignment with the literature.
No. 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 And if I may throw this out there, this Crepuscular race experiment. I've also put it on Facebook as a challenge for everyone to try and capture this from opposite angles. You know, because I want to see.
I will try. I will try now. I will
I
try
want to
that
see
thing.
I've been trying with webcams myself, but you know, you have to. These lines don't always appear at these angles. You know, you have to have the sun at a specific angle above the horizon. For the angles to converge like this.
Yeah, because also we don't always see those. Like if the sun is right 90 degrees above me and there's clouds, I'm not gonna see those rays.
No.
This is the
No.
thing. We don't always see those, and the sun is often in the clouds.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a
If
very.
you were to converge, if you were to follow these lines to where they converge, the sun would be right above the clouds. You know, but if you were to rise in altitude, you know, the sun would not be here.
No, that's the thing.
It will stay at the same 30 degrees or 35 degrees above the horizon angle for you, because the horizon rises with you when you go up.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting what you presented to us here this afternoon, Mike. I'm very happy that you shared your insight with us, because I've been asking myself a lot of questions about the sun, especially the fact that it sets facing me. You know what? I'm supposed now to forget my senses, to use my senses again against my senses, and deny the fact that it's facing me, that it's a disc, and what? How can it be a disc hovering over us and disappearing gradually over the horizon? But I see it setting like facing me all the time. It's never like if it's a thin disc or whatever disc thickness it is, it's moving away on the horizon. I should see it disappear like a small plate at one point, not completely in front of me.
No, you can measure the sun at every angle above the horizon, and it will always be the same length across as from top to bottom. It's always a perfect circle, always. So that if you use basic geometry, that rules out that it's a disk.
Yeah.
You cannot get that to work with a disk sun. And I don't buy that the sun is a disk. I use Occam razor. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it probably is a duck.
Yeah.
Sun.
And another thing I observe, Mike, with the sun, it's when it's in the cloud. Sometime on a sunny day, it will go through like the clouds. Doesn't need to be very, very thick just to cut the complete light. Then I see the spherical or disc circle shape. It doesn't need much to cut the light. Like if it's so powerful, the light coming from a ball of fire, like it would go through a cloud.
Yeah.
Come on. It's so why is like there's something maybe the water inside the cloud. I don't know. I'm not inside the cloud. I can't tell you what's going on there, but I would like to be like a bird. That's why I said I would like to fly like a bird. I could see the sun in the cloud. Yeah, but I'm not a bird, obviously. I might fly one day if I jump off in an airplane and do a parachute. Then I'll fly, but maybe that would be a good way to explore those kind of situations. You go with a plane and you just dive with a parachute inside the cloud and see what's going on with the sun.
I don't know. You can never get to the sun if it's a similar source projection as the rainbow. Every time you move towards the sun, it will always move away from you.
This is the weird thing too. Like I said to Pilot Elix the other day, can't you turn your plane around and start chasing the sun? You will catch it eventually. You'll get to the sun eventually. It's here. It's somewhere here. Like even that. Like even if you're on a plane, often you're gonna see the sun on the horizon. Like can you turn your plane around and start like there's jets going very very fast? And I'm sure you could, but you can never catch the sun. So what it is?
No.
This is very mysterious. Come on, you have a jet plane that flies thousands of miles faster at the speed of sound. There's plane going at the speed of sound, so you should be able to catch it. But no, you can never catch it apparently.
Well, they did an experiment a couple months ago with jets. It was a discovery experiment, of course, with jets following the sun. But I don't buy it,
Someone says something interesting here. She said that's precisely the question. What is light? How can such powerful astrological effects be so accurate as if consciousness itself is light?
That's what the problem with me was, because it's so damn accurate, the sun will be at its position where it should be at the exact time and location for you. No matter where you are on Earth, the sun will always show you exactly what time it is.
Yes, and
the sun is the hour, for the hours in the day. The moon is for the month, the stars are for the years. It's a clock, and it's a personal clock for everybody.
Wow. No, it's and that's it. It's so divine. The whole thing is so divinely orchestrated and divinely designed and intelligently designed that for sure it's more than just a disc hovering over me 3,000 miles up, and I can take a sextant it. Like, come on, whoa! This is, I think it's much deeper than that. It's much more
Yeah, you
mysterious.
know, if
By
we
doing
can,
this, because by doing this, also by defining a new reality, you take away all mystery that I have
yeah,
from life. Even with your flat earth stuff, you take all the mystery of life. You just go from 1.0 to 2.0 CGI. That's all. It's
mhm.
nothing. We haven't take a leap in awareness here and consciousness. We're just going from one model to another. So
Yeah.
basically, I
You know,
think it's very.
if we could fit the entire depth of creation into our 3 pound brain, you
Yeah,
know,
exact.
that would be
That would be
impossible.
great.
Yeah,
But
but
I
it's
don't think
impossible, you know.
so.
The depth of some things are beyond us.
Yeah, I think, Mike, you know what? There's some stuff, Mike, we will know only when we pass into another realm, into the other
Yeah.
realm. Then we will know the nature of all things. But here on Earth, I don't think we will. For now, I can only entertain the thoughts and, uh, try to seek what I can verify or something. But the real truth of probably when I reach the higher plane, which is the star. Now I'll be able to look down on everything and see everything. But until I become a star, and for that, I have to yap my mouth here enough to become a star. So
Mhm.
that's the more I have to shine my light here to be able to shine up there. So that's what I tell people all the time. Do your best, do your
Yeah,
maximum,
and
shine your light. And
I wanna touch a little bit back on what that guy was saying about the strength of the Earth's magnetic field.
yeah,
You know, this is this is something I just came up with. This was a brain fart, so to speak. You know, because because it matches what I was trying to make the sun do on the azimuthal equidistant map with Cinema 4D. You know, in the modeling, we want to make the sun follow the lines represented in this magnetic field. So I just tied it in with Ken's sphere, the ferrosphere. You know, because this is he called it magnetic holography. You know, and if you call it a projection or a hologram, you know, and basically they're one and the same thing. But a hologram. And a hologram has no physical properties, so to me, a hologram cannot deliver heat or infrared radiation. So it's a hologram, but it's also with physical nature.
yeah, this is it. This is how I see it too. I see it as something more like like I worship, but I don't worship. I don't worship nothing, but I love the sun, but the spiritual side of it, like not so much the physical but there has to be something physical also because I feel the heat. I'm here on Earth, and that thing is there, and I feel the heat
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
from that. So the source of the heat. Okay, now there's a source for the light, but there's also a source for the heat that I feel, and that's the object in the sky.
yeah. You know that's you can if you look through a telescope at the sun, you can see it's a giant fireball. You know,
Yeah,
the surface is dynamic. There are flames on the edges. You know, here I captured
yeah,
another one. This is on the edge. This is a coronal mass ejection. You know, and I wrote it in the description that from a heliocentric perspective, this would swallow the Earth 10 times over. You know, this flame would be so freaking huge. You know.
oh yeah, and that's what they tell us, and I believe in that shit for so long. Me think, you know what I was thinking at one point? You could travel through the sun.
Through the
Because
sun.
Nasir Aramein, I think is his name. That's what he has as theory that the sun is a portal to go to other dimension, and he can enter the sun and get out into another galaxy somewhere.
Yeah, that's a beautiful script for a science fiction movie. But
Yeah, exactly.
prove it, you know.
That's it.
Show
But
me the
this is stuff
evidence.
that you can easily take your telescope, your camera, or anything, and put a filter on it, and you're gonna verify what he's saying there. That this is not Babylon stuff. He took his own telescope to look at it, so we can all do this. But
Yeah,
often, it's maybe the mean that are missing for some people. No camera, no telescope, no stuff. So we have to rely also on other people like you that
Yeah,
have the equipment.
there's a book, Life Beyond the Poles. I've viewed a small YouTube video from Geo Shifter about it, and it touches on that because telescopes use convex or concave lenses, it distorts everything into a spherical object.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but I doubt it.
But
Because if that is true, if I were to look through my telescope at a boat sailing on top of a lake, it would also appear to be a spherical boat, but it's not a spherical boat. It's just a boat.
exact. It's just a
So,
boat.
so high-end optics are actually that. They are
but,
high-end.
but there's another thing, Mike. Is it's good. There's might be reason also why we don't see them as ball is we only see in 2D. I don't see in 3 dimension as far as I'm concerned. I have to go to theater and put glasses on to see 3D. So I don't think I see in 3 dimension here. But
Now,
so how can I see it as a
cannot
sphere?
verify that the sun is a sphere from just one vantage point. We have to look at it from both sides to verify that it's a sphere.
Exact.
You can look, you can search for a picture of the moon and put it on a large screen, and it appears to be a spherical object. But if you look at the backside of your TV, the backside of the moon is not there. It's a flat, two-dimensional picture, representing itself as a three-dimensional object.
Yeah.
For the sun, the sun could be the same thing, but I always say could because I don't know for sure. I don't know much. I've believed a lot during my education and my upbringing, but
like all of us.
I've come to the conclusion that I know very little for sure.
Yeah, but that's what someone says before. The more I learn, the less I know.
Yeah, exactly. And
the more I learn, the less I know. That's very true.
It was
Because
a bit of a shocker for me, especially because I grew up in the house of astronomy.
Yeah.
My dad was a professional astronomer, so I made my first telescope when I was 7 years old, with help of my dad, of course. But that's how young I started looking through to the sky. So I grew up in a heliocentric Carl Sagan, Neil deGrasse Tyson evolutionary house, so to speak. So to get over that indoctrination was a
some have been indoctrinated, more severely than others. Like if you had parents that were into like that heliocentric stuff, an astronomer or physicist or. The layers are very, very thick, and it's might take you a little while to pierce through the illusion. But like if your indoctrination has not been so heavy on you, it might take you less time. So depends on the level of indoctrination and
the higher your education is, the more trouble you will have letting go of that.
Exactly. Oh, for sure, of letting go of it, because I think the major problem of those people that still believe in what we are told by the government and all these space agencies that are part of the government. This is one thing people think the NASA is an independent, it's an army, fucking branch of the United States Army. Come on. These guys are come on, they're all interlinked together. I'm not saying everyone in there is at the know everything, because it's very compartmentalized and it's very easy to fool people.
And it's gone fully mental now, the science community, because if you start out with a wrong base assumption, and your base assumption being that the Earth is a sphere, eventually, because it's not, you're going to run into problems. And they had their gravity issues, galaxies spinning so fast that not only the force of gravity was able to hold them together, but they held together. So they have to come up with dark matter and dark energy. stuff we cannot see, we cannot verify, we cannot measure, and that makes up 97% of the universe.
And so Red Rose just said something here very, very important. And she said everything, but I don't know, maybe someone says that in the church. She says right Nostra in the chat, but everything on earth leans toward the sun daily. Magnetic. I have tomato plants here in front of my patio door, and every time the sun is up, they lean towards the sun.
Yeah.
All the plants will lead towards the sun. They look for the sunlight. I look for it. Every time it's out, I'm outside.
Yeah.
We're all attracted by the sunlight. There must be something very magnetic with it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's my...
there is something, Mike, for sure. We know.
yeah. Yeah, but the field of the Earth's magnetic field can be weak or it can be strong. That's not going to limit the possibilities of it being a magnetic projection, because we don't know the magnetic strength of the source itself. If the sun is a source projection and it's magnetic, the source itself also is magnetic. And how is that influencing the magnetic field of the Earth and the magnetic fields in general on Earth? Does the apparent sun, the projected sun, have a magnetic field, or does the real source object have a magnetic field? Those are things we have to find out.
Yeah,
we have to discover.
It looks that way because we're all attracted by the sun. Me, I see the sun and I freak. I'm outside and I take the sunlight in without sunglasses. Very important, people. Remove your sunglasses. That can, because they're apparently, it's very, very important. The sunlight, lots of vitamin essentials for us. And I'm sure it's necessary to enlightenment also to see some light.
Yeah, and the science will tell you that sunlight is bad for you. You have to rub yourself with chemical white sun protection, because else you will get skin cancer. That's the only negative effect you can get from the sun is a very nasty sunburn.
Yeah, that's all.
And
pretty
then
much
your skin will peel off and you will grow a new skin, and that's it.
That's it. Because skin cancer and stuff like that mostly probably come by the fact you're wearing sunglasses too often, and your body, there's something in the brain that controls everything on the inside, like my digestion. It's not conscious, it's all subconscious. So there is a subconscious level in you that protects your skin from the sun. So when I'm inside, that melamine or something doesn't come out of me. But when I'm outside in the sun, it comes out to protect me from the rays of the sun, from the radiation. We are naturally protected. We don't need sunscreen. That's crazy. Crazy stuff.
If the sun feels too hot, go inside.
Go in shade. Go in the shade if you're too hot. That's what I do when I have enough. When I'm about to pass out, I go in the shade. That's it.
Yeah. Rubbing yourself with white chemical ooze is very bad for you. That's the stuff that will give you skin cancer.
Yeah, exactly. It's what the things that people should use are the things that they refuse. So and the things they use, exactly, they should not use it, like sunglasses and sunscreen and all this stuff. Use. Are you born with sunscreen, with sunglasses, with? We're not born with this, so it's not. Are you born with earrings in your belly, in your tongue, in your everywhere? It's not necessary. I never found that to have necessary, like tattoos. I have one tattoo that I had when I was 19-year-old. It's Bob Marley on my arm, but that's it. I know no other tattoo, and I will not get any more tattoo either because it's not necessary. It's all to, what I am is not what's on the outside. It's what's on the inside. What I'm able to shine from the inside out. That's what I want. Like what people think of me, the way I look, and the tattoos on me, and it's very, very relevant for me because my light is much more powerful than my outer appearance. So good, Mike. Very good hangout. Very good reflection we had together. I'm very happy that you accepted my invitation for sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this again. If you have anything else, just let me know.
If I've finished experimenting with this crepuscular race thing I'm doing, you know, I have to wait for certain conditions and also have somebody on the other side because you know, we have to verify it for ourselves, and I can't rely on webcams.
No,
so I have to get two people on. But you know, anybody can do this. You know, if you live on a plane or or near a great lake, or you will often see these rays. You know, I live in the Netherlands and it's often cloudy here, and the sun rises on the lake. You know, for me, it comes out of the water, so to speak. So in the morning, I can catch these rays pretty often. I can say I see them daily, but that's not the case. You know, I see them regularly. So I have to pick a moment to picture that. But everybody can do this, and I hope more people will try it because, you know, I want the answer. I want the answer to this question. You know, and I'm gonna ask it again. If you were to reflect this ray coming down to somebody standing on the other side of this lake looking towards you, would you see a reflection of the sun in that mirror? You know?
No, probably not. No.
No, but you are reflecting a beam of light. You know, for you, you will see that reflected light beam being reflected on the guy on the other side. But the guy on the other side, looking through that mirror, will he see that sun? Because if you make lines and angles, you know, for that angle of the reflection to reach the guy on the other side, you will have to reflect the actual physical object. But the physical object for the guy on the other side is behind him. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a what they call it, a paradox.
That's great.
And paradoxes, I love paradoxes because that's if you find something that doesn't match up, you're onto something.
Charlie says, no, I'm not flat. I am three-dimensional. We have a non-flat earther. Yeah. I welcome everybody. Globe Earth, flat Earth, rectangle. I don't care. I'm not about division and separation. So you're all welcome here. Welcome, Charlie. It's a pleasure to have you here this afternoon. He says I am three-dimensional. I love that, man. Many dimension and rise and shine. That's what we need, people. That
we all have an X, Y, and Z. Huh?
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z axis.
That's it. So thank you very much, Mike. Thanks everybody for being here. Even Charlie in his comments. That's great. Red, I did earth science also biology, chemistry, physics. Yeah, but that's all Babylon stuff, Charlie. You're only repeating what you've been taught. We tell you to do your own experiment. Get out, use your own eyes, use your own senses, and find me a curve, Charlie. Find me a curve and come back live on the Tru-Mon show, Charlie, with me. Why not come on the Tru-Mon show?
Every debate. Now you can argue for every argument for a globular Earth, you know, and
there's no curve.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, it all comes down to prove me that a curve exists, and nobody can do that.
Exactly.
Nobody.
Exactly. There's no curve. No one ever proved the existence of a curve. So it's a mathematical curvature. That's what it is. It's in our heads. The matrix is in our heads. Everything is in our mind. It's all originate from our mind, our thoughts, and then we imagine a curve. We imagine we live on a ball, that there's all kinds of planets and stars, our suns, and
the power of suggestion. That's the power of suggestion.
You know? Yeah, the power of suggestion and brainwashing.
Yeah.
So big up everyone. You're all a wonderful people. So stay away from Babylon evil. That's the most important thing. Stay away from the evil stuff of Babylon. They will try to corrupt your mind and try to believe everything that they want you to live as reality.
I tell you, you came from a monkey's ass.
Yeah, you come from a monkey ass and you're floating on a ball revolving around a ball of fire, 400 times bigger than the Earth. It's just the Earth is much, much bigger than the sun. That's one thing I know, Mike, for sure. It looks that way.
Yeah,
No? The Earth is
yeah,
massive. The Earth is the most biggest thing. But
yeah.
in my experience, the common experience, I don't know. I don't see nothing else but the Earth. So I don't
Yeah.
imagine until I can verify it that there's other life forms or something like that. If I can see it, if I see it, I'll believe it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and
That's it.
that's what that's my advice for everybody. You
Yeah.
know, seeing is believing, and even believing is not. You know, belief is the enemy of knowing. You know.
Yeah, exact. That's a good one. That's a good one because the more we learn, the less we happen to find out how much we don't know about
Yeah,
this world. That's what happened to me. I thought we are in the illusion of knowing. Also, we are under the illusion of knowing that we know everything. We know physics, maths, and this and that, and this is the match our reality. This match a
yeah, but
matrix reality.
a guy like Lawrence Krauss, you know, he's and that Michio Kaku, they are real good physicists. You know, they can they can explain you everything from a physical standpoint. But those are the same people that tell you you fell from a monkey's ass. So do you trust them? You know,
Exactly.
it's a big board filled with a very complex mathematical language, and
And the
it has no relation to reality. You know,
exact and
mathematics is variables. You know, and you can make the variables up yourself.
they have lied so much on so many levels. Why would they tell us the truth about where we live, what we are, who we are, and all this without even having to do research? They know we're lazy, so they put us in an illusion, and it's
No,
up to you to wake up. It's up to you to do the personal work to reach self mastery, to see clear in the illusion, to
yeah.
pierce through their illusion and build something with your life outside the illusion, something real, something that you can,
And
be proud of.
if it makes you feel uncomfortable, you're probably onto something.
Exact. But be comfort. Me, I always. That's it. I always like to be comfortable. I want to be comfortable with the uncomfortable because this is always very uncomfortable to come live on YouTube. There's a lot of people in the chat. You live. I'm live on YouTube, but I happen to be comfortable to find a level of comfortability doing it. So I do it with very much ease now, and from the heart. From the heart, I don't come here to just cause confusion or more. No, we come here to reflect. We tell you, don't believe everything we say. You do your own research. That's the most important part. And use your eyes, use your own senses, and make sense of reality. Get out the TV a bit. Give up the Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi and stuff like that, and beer,
Yeah.
and start leave the distraction. Get
Mhm.
off YouTube a bit. Also, get off YouTube a bit and go outside and make sense of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Big up, Mike. Big up, Mike.
Great. Thanks,
Pleasure.
Yannick.
Yeah.
Okay, and I will talk soon.
Yeah, we talk to each other very soon, and we stay connected for sure. We're all connected. We're all connected. We are one anyway. So it's just a matter of a little message, but we're permanently connected, especially since we're on a plane. Come on. The frequency travels much better on a plane than on a ball. The radar on the ball doesn't work either. So how can we be connected to each other if we live on the ball? Like how my touch would reach you, Mike, and stuff like that. Like all this makes much more sense on a plane. So
Yeah.
rise and shine, people.
Okay, bye bye, mate.
We're out.
Good night.